Okay, let's explain according to Kabbalah what is going to be the difference between the future redemption by means of the Mashiach compared to the past redemption by means of Moses. Bir Milos and Niflos de La'atid Lavo on the miracles of going out of Egypt in the language of Kabbalah. We are still in the mimer by the Rebbe on Yud Aleph Nisan Tavshin Mem Beis. It's found in Mimer Milchutim Beis. Okay, Herschel. Hine, behold, Yadu it is known, should be Yetzias Mitzrayim, that when the Jews left Egypt, Hutzrich Lahotzias Yisrael, that he had to take the Jews out from Mem Tes Sharim, from the 49 gates of the Leumatza, of the opposite of holiness. What is the opposite of holiness? Egotism. False egotism. False egotism is the opposite of Judaism. A person, when he feels himself, so he doesn't feel Hashem. The more he feels himself, he doesn't feel Hashem. So God when the Jews were in Egypt, they had to think about themselves all the time. They had to think about themselves all the time. They were forced to. This is Mashem Yarach Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's why immediately after Yetzias Mitzrayim, Matchilin, they began Sfiras Omer. Why did they begin Sfiras Omer? Because when God took the Sfiras Omer, it's true it's a mitzvah, but like all the other mitzvahs, it has an importance to it, a purpose to it. And especially Sfirat Omer had a psychological importance to it. Namely what? It made the Jews every day go out of another aspect of selfishness and go into another aspect of Jewishness, thinking about God, every day. In the first days they went out of the seven aspects of kindness, and the second day the second week, 7 aspects of severity. It's fixing these egotistical aspects of their soul to include the Creator. Because after all, God is creating us. He's creating us every second. We really don't have any truly independent existence on our own. That's the fact. But that's not what we feel. We feel we certainly do have an independent existence on our own. And to the degree where we feel that our existence is the only existence. It's not independent from anything. It's not independent from God. Who says God even exists? That's the feeling that the Jews had to go out. When they were in Egypt, they could only believe in God. They only believed because there was Moshe, and they believed in a very far, distant way that such a thing was going to happen. And going out of Egypt, right, means that they were given the opportunity to stop thinking about themselves all the time, to start thinking about their Creator. And it was a long process. That was the Sfirat Omer. That was counting the Omer. Every day they went out of another aspect of egotism and entered another aspect of Judaism, which Judaism means thinking about God, serving God. Shebakol Yom Yamei Sfira, that every day from the days of the counting of the Omer, Yotzim Mishar Echad, you go out from one of the gates of the Umatzah of egotism. V'zeh HaYetzia, going out from these gates, was by means of Amshachat Chamishim Sharibina. How did you take a person out of bad? Show him good. You can't tell him to stop being an egotist. He doesn't know what you're talking about. You have to show him that there's an alternative to egotism. That it's possible really to think about and get excited about God. And therefore, Huskar is mentioned in the Torah, in Yetzias Mitzrayim, it's mentioned in the Torah going out of Egypt 50 times. Keneged Nun Shari Bina, corresponding to the 50 gates of Bina. So we see it's deeper and deeper and deeper types of understanding. Okay, Herschel. Hine, behold, Yadu, it's known. Shebin Nun Shari Bina, that in the 50 gates of Bina, Yesh Kama Dargos, there's a lot of levels. There's a lot of these different levels of going out of these 50 gates of understanding. There is the 50 gates of understanding as they are in Malchus. The 50 gates of understanding, how they are related to this world. Understanding God, how He relates to this world. That's what they got when they left Egypt. This is what's called the Sitra de Yuvla. This is what's called the side of the Jubilee. The Jubilee is the 50th year. It's on the 50th year not just by accident. 50th year represents the 50th gate of understanding where everything gets free. This is drawn down into Malchus, into the lowest level. Above that, there's a higher level. There's a source of these 50 gates. The 50 gates of understanding as they are in their source, in Bina, in understanding. How the 50 gates of understanding are not in the lowest aspect of creation, in Malchut, but how they are in their source. So if you see that, that's something really amazing. That's something like what the Jews got in Mount Sinai, after the 50 gates. Well, Lamayla Yoter, and even above that, Kamoshem Kalulim B'Shara Nun, how they are in their source of the source. Bebechinit Keter, how they are in the level of crown. And the Keter itself in the level of Atik, the inside of Keter. This is Masha Giluim, what the revelations of the future, Iyun Niflaot, will be miracles, also compared to the miracles of going out of Egypt. Okay, Herschel. Key, because Nun Shari Bina, the 50 gates of understanding that were drawn into Yetzias Mitzrayim when the Jews got out of Egypt, that was the 50 gates, Heim Asharim de Bechinat Bina. They are the level of Bina. This is especially Kamoshen Imshachim Al Yedei Bechinat HaMalchut, how they are into Malchut. When the Jews got out of Egypt, the revelation of these 50 gates of understanding were in the lowest level, which according to Kabbalah, there's 10 Sfirot, and the lowest of the Sfirot is called kingship, God's Malchus. And then when they got the Torah 50 days later, that was something like the 50th gate of understanding, how it was when they got the Torah. And how it is in Bina. Which is not the case in the future redemption. Then the drawing down of the 50 gates of understanding will be as they are in Keter. And there's the essence source. This is Kabbalistic ideas, but it's just coming to understand this, to explain this, that there's different levels of awareness of the creator of the universe without any limit. Below Odel Keter Gufa, but in Keter itself, Tiyam Shacha will be from Atik. Atik is the inside of Keter. Atik Gufa Atik. And Atik itself will be from the inside of Atik. Okay, these are Kabbalistic terms. But nevertheless, it's coming to tell us that the revelation of understanding of God that they got going out of Egypt was tremendously high, but only in its level. Nothing compared to the revelation they got when it was in Mount Sinai. And that will be nothing compared to the revelation that will be in the future. What does it mean, the revelation? The awareness of God that we will have. Like it says about the Mashiach. Here, consider my servant. Yoram v'nisa v'gavum od. It says, Avdi, Yoram v'nisa v'gavum od. That's 5 levels. The 5 levels of the soul. Because the 5th level of the soul will be revealed by Mashiach. This is spoken about a lot in Chassidut. The Ma'od is a rearrangement of the letter of the letters of man, Adam. Ma'od means very much. This is the level of Mashiach. Hu b'chinet penimiut atik. This level of Ma'od is the inside of Atik. It's the same thing when we say we should love God b'chol me'odecha. It means to wake up this inner attachment that every single Jew has to God that is completely above any sort of egotism. Ubelashon of Pri Etz Chaim, and the language of the Pri Etz Chaim. Pri Etz Chaim is also a Kabbalistic book about the wisdom of the Arizal. Shekol hamshachos achshav, that all of the blessings of God that we get now, they only come from the external atik, from the external level of this keter, this crown of God. Well, the ati level, it will be penimiut atik. And in the future, we're going to get the real essence of truth. How this is going to be, impossible to understand. This is also what's going to cause the raising of the dead. But nevertheless, even though this is going to be incomparably higher than the future redemption, even though the future redemption is going to be incomparably higher than the redemption from Egypt, the redemption from Egypt was only all these aspects of understanding as they are in Malchut, and the future redemption is going to be how they are in Keter, the essence of God. Nevertheless, midam me'hakatov ha'niflaot sheyiyu the Torah compares the miracles that will be Pagula Tida in the future redemption, Laniflaot Shehayu B'Yetziat Mitzrayim, to the miracles that were when they left Egypt. Why? Why does it do it? It's incomparable. It's like I said, comparing Samson to the little kid who picked up his his desk in school. Like the simple meaning of the Kasuv, Begeula Asida Yiyeh Erenu Niflot, there will be miracles like they were when we left Egypt. Well, how can the miracles that in the future will be totally unlike the miracles that we left Egypt? Why did Micha say that there will be like Kiyameh? Kigam B'Yetziat Mitzrayim, that also when the Jews left Egypt, there were the highest tremendous revelations. Kamavur, like it says in Taf Reish Ayin Beis, when it says Nigla Le'am Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Kavod B'Atzmo, Hashem Himself appeared in Egypt. You can't belittle that. Sheb'Kavod B'Atzmo, this is the highest levels. If so, that's a good reason why you can compare them. But one second, we just explained 3 lines above that the revelations in the future will be incomparably greater. So that's what he said. It depends on how Hashem reveals himself. When the Jews left Egypt, Hashem revealed himself in this level of Malchut. And in the future, he's going to be revealing himself in this level of crown, Keter. It makes sense to us. Who knows? I mean, for us, it's very difficult to even imagine what the revelations were when we left Egypt. They were already 3,331 years after going out of Egypt, and we don't. It's hard to imagine what type of revelations there were then.
Maybe it's just enough to know that something big is going to happen. Don't get too scared when it happens.
Yeah, listen, it's. Let's just finish. Elishab Yetzias Mitzrayim, there was a Giloi Devechinazu by means of Hislabshus, but in the future redemption, and when the Jews left Egypt, this redemption of godliness was enclosed in a very low level, Malchut. Like it says, a Pasach Hashem ala Petach, that God jumped over the doors. That's why the holiday is called Pesach. The Petach, this is the idea that God jumped over the doors. This is the level of Malchut. Atid Lavo in the future will be a revelation without any garments. Like it says, Lo Yekanef Od Morecha. In other words, you're right, there's only one God. And God appeared at going out of Egypt, and he appeared at Mount Sinai. So many gods are there. And God, it says when he left in Egypt, his essence appeared. Essence is essence. God's essence appeared. It says, yes, it did. But it was veiled, it was enclosed, it was concealed. They couldn't accept it properly. They couldn't accept it. It was too small. It's like these people that they win the Mifalapayas. These people that they win the Lo Achshav. Okay, so back then it was a revelation of Hashem, but they couldn't accept this. Like nowadays, these people, they win the Mifalapayas, they win the lottery. So the guy wins $50 million, he goes berserk. All of them end in a tragedy. Because he can't receive it, it's too much for him. So they say to him, listen, we'll give it to you little by little. Before you do it, get an accountant, get a lawyer, get a plan, right, how to deal with it. It's the same thing. The Jews left Egypt, so God gave them this big revelation, but he had to give it in a very, very small, concealed way. In a very concealed way. It was a tremendous revelation. But they had to do counting the Omer, 50 days, and finally when they got to Mount Sinai, they couldn't accept the revelation. They said it was just too much. Moshe, you accept it. It's too much for them.
Redemption, we're going to be ready for greater.
He's going to say that, yes. In the future redemption, we will be ready for the revelations. Gimel. But according to this, we have to understand what it says. I will show you miracles. Madua, why? Medameh compares a cusp of the Torah, the miracles of the future redemption, to the miracles that were when they left Egypt. Obiyoter, and even more, it's not understood. We just finished explaining in great length that the revelations that are going to be in the future are incomparably greater. Incomparably greater. It's like comparing the $20 trillion to $1. Incomparable. It's true, a person that doesn't have any money and he finds $1, that's a big thing. Right? He's very happy, he finds $1 from nothing. And that's like going out of Egypt. But the comparison from $1 to $20 trillion, you throw the $1 away. What's the question? The Fiyadea Shamazkirin that we do say going out of Egypt in the days of the Mashiach. At first glance, since the revelations in the future redemption will be much higher than the revelations that were when they left Egypt. Okay, Herschel, Lama, why? Yizkiru, why will we mention Yetzias Mitzrayim? Why will we mention going out of Egypt also then? It won't even be mentionable, right? It's like the same thing. The person wins $50 trillion in the lottery. You say, remember when you found that $1 in the street?
See, we still have that same guy. Said $1, you give him $20 trillion. What's he going to do with it?
What?
What's he going to do with it? He's still the same guy at this point. But when he gets 20 trillion.
Okay, it's not a good example. The example I gave is not a good example. It's show the insignificance of it.
The money is
right.
It's about the ability to handle the.
Okay. In the future, you'll be able to handle $20 trillion. In the future, you'll be able to handle it. So it's a different person.
When did we become a different person?
In the whole course of the Gullus. That's going to be the future redemption. What? If you learn Chassidut, the whole thing depends on your desire. On your desire. You have a desire for the future redemption. That's what Chassidus is supposed to be. It's supposed to give you a desire for the future redemption. Not a desire for the redemption.
No, I have a desire for the redemption also. But I don't think I'm ready for him to
It'll be a miracle. Just 5 minutes. Yes. But Lama Yizkru, if so, why will we mention future redemption? The Go'ula Mitzrayim, when he left it, he said the answer is, Yadua Biro Bazeh, the explanation is, the Go'ulat Mitzrayim, that when the Jews left Egypt, Nitchadesh Klalot Inyan HaGo'ula. It wasn't like this idea of the poor person finding $1. It's like nobody ever had any money in the world. No one had money, and he found $1. Everyone was living just from hand to mouth, right? Eating ants or whatever they were eating, and this person found $1, and with this $1 he can go to the store and he can buy a can of soda, right? Nobody ever saw $1 before, and he's the first person ever to see $1. But the same, that's the past redemption. When the Jews were in Egypt, there was no such thing as Geula. There had never been such a thing before. There had never been such a thing that a whole entire nation became connected to God. There had been individuals that did. Noach, Mesushelach, a whole entire nation becoming connected to God. Had never been such a thing. So that's what it means. It opened up the Niftachat Sinor. It opened up the pipe. It opened up the door for redemption. Mea Galuyot Sha'achar Galuz Mitzrayim. After, from the exiles that were going to be after leaving Egypt, it opened up the door to the idea of Geula, that there could be such a thing. Going out of your dimension into a whole new dimension. Brand new thing. Gam ala Geula Tida, even in the future redemption. Hagam Shite Geula Nailed Yoter, even though it will be a tremendously high revelation, like we said, from Panimio to Keter, But nevertheless, the whole thing began. The first one was back then. It's like if you could find the first caveman that invented the wheel, right? His picture would be everywhere. I look what we do with wheels nowadays, right? Al derech hayadua, like it was said, b'yetzias Mitzrayim, hayata hachana lamatan Torah, like it says that going out of Egypt was the preparation for the receiving of the Torah. And the revelation when they received the Torah was incomparably higher to the revelation than when they left Egypt. Like it says, "B'hotzi achat ha'am Mitzrayim." When you take the when I take the people, God said, when I take the people, when I take you out of Egypt, tavdun et Elokim, you will serve God on this mountain. The mountain, this is where the burning bush was. The burning bush was on Mount Sinai. And God said to Moshe, you're going to serve me on this mountain. The whole purpose of taking the Jews out of Egypt was to serve God. Even though the main thing of freedom was really when they got the Torah, Matan Torah Davka. Kimi cave, and since Shalifnei Matan Torah, before Matan Torah, there was still the decree of Elyonim, that upper worlds didn't come down below and the lower worlds didn't go up. Hari moving is understood. Sha'ad Matan Torah, then until Matan Torah, even after going out of Egypt, yet there was not the true Geula, the Cherus Tachtonim. So if so, when they left Egypt, they really had not really received the redemption. But when they left Egypt, they was given the ability, a koach, also on the future redemption that was going to be 50 days later in Mount Torah. So if so, going out of Egypt began the relationship between the Jewish people and God. There had never been such a thing beforehand. And this eventually developed more and more until 50 days later they were able to receive the Torah. Al derech zeh similarly is also in the future redemption. The going out of Egypt, that was given the ability for the future redemption. So just as when they left Egypt, it was given them the ability, the possibility to connect with God at Mount Sinai, which was a much, much greater revelation. Similar, the same thing, the going out of Egypt also gave them the ability, the first step to going out of the future redemption that's going to be by means of the Mashiach. Because at the time of Mount Torah, there was something like the redemption of the future. Like it says in the Tanya also, what is it, Lamed Zayin? It was like the raising of the dead at Mount Sinai. Everybody died and the souls came back into their bodies. Just let's finish this paragraph in this. The time of Mount Torah, the revelation was only temporary. In the future will be the redemption in a way, tamidi v'nitzchi, it'll be permanent. And now it's going to tell you why. Because the revelation that's going to be then, in the future redemption, will be lo rak mitzad milamayla, it won't be only because of God, like in Matan Torah, that God did everything, elagam mitzad amata, but also because of us. The thousands of years of exile that we've been in has given us a true desire to forget about ourselves and to connect with the Creator. Because the creations then will be ultimately pure and refined. The Yiyu and the people, Jewish people, will be kalim, they will be vessels to this revelation of godliness. So it's like it says, like we said, winning the lottery for $50 trillion and being able to deal with it, no problem whatsoever. But like to say, taking it in stride. Lasig das boram, that people will be able to comprehend the awareness of God according to what a human being can. There's the maximum ability of man will be revealed. That will be utter shalem. Then the whole world will be complete. The world will be a complete vessel for the revelation of God, and there will be a revelation of God. Lasharat or in sof, that God will reveal Himself above the power of man to accept, and man will be able to accept it. That's going to be the future redemption. So now there's the whole idea of the going out of Egypt and Matan Torah and the future redemption was all basically the same thing. Awareness of God. Awareness of the creator of the universe. Awareness of the creator of the spiritual. Putting the spirit, awareness of the amazing potential that's in this physical world. That was the last mimer that we learned. That in that that's the beginning of the revelation of God in the world. That's higher than the world itself in some way. Brings out the highness of the world. Okay, now we're going to ask another question. We're going to answer, but we'll do that tomorrow. Micha said, like the days of leaving Egypt, I will show you miracles. The Jews left Egypt in one day. They were not days. What does it mean, days? We're going to talk about that, God willing, tomorrow. What?
Revelation of Hashem didn't really start on the day we left Egypt. It actually started with the beginning of the plagues. So much so that even the Egyptians finally recognized that Hashem is behind everything. The only reason I bring this up is this is going to happen, and we want to be prepared for it.
That's what I'm saying. The main thing of going out of Egypt was the acceptance of the revelation of God. The Egyptians, that's a good example. The Egyptians said, Etzba Elokeinu. They said it's the finger of God. Right? Did it change them at all? Nothing whatsoever. They just knew that God could do miracles that they couldn't do.
Well, they didn't. Did it change them? Yeah, it did change them. Did it change them to become Jews? No.
Not even.
Did the Jewish to do Torah? No.
It didn't change
them. That they now looked at Pharaoh like maybe he wasn't.
Listen, one second. God. It didn't change them to connect to God. They just knew that the Jews had some sort of a secret weapon. Okay. And that made them a little bit afraid of the Jews. But it didn't essentially change any of them really at all. That's why God had to destroy them. If there was a chance for them, he would have left them alive. Okay. So eventually it says, V'yidu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem. The Egyptians will know that I am God.
They just thought that you got to pick God.
Some sort of a new weapon that we just hadn't dealt with. It says that the Rambam says that the miracles that God did, the 10 plagues, were not to bring the Jews closer to God. They were not to prove God's existence or to make it. The 10 plagues were.
But
that's
they
what.
Started to know that there is a reality behind the reality.
But that's not what the Rambam. The Rambam says that God wanted to take them out. In order to take them out, so he made the plagues and he gave them bread from heaven and he did all these miracles, very practically speaking. But it wasn't to know God's essence. God's essence was known only really in Mount Sinai.
No. 100 years.
Right.
I don't have any problem with that at all. It's just that you got to be prepared for it.
That's what Chassidus is supposed to do. Good. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.